Blackjack Davey came a-riding by, he sang so sweet and gaily, made the greenwood around him ring to charm the heart of a lady, to charm the heart of a lady. How old are you, my pretty little miss? How old are you, my honey? Well, I don't doubt for the one of love I'll be 16 next Sunday. I'll be 16 next Sunday. Well, I'd forsake my house and land, and I'd forsake my baby. I'd forsake my new wed lord and stay with the Blackjack Davey, and stay with the Blackjack Davey. Last night I slept on a warm feathered bed between my husband and baby. Tonight I sleep on the cold, cold ground in the arms of the Blackjack Davey, in the arms of the Blackjack Davey. I grew up in the mountains, right where the snakes have legs, where the hoot owls they speak English and the roosters lay square eggs. I shaved my beard and mustache the morning I was born. That night I beat up my old man and I drank his rye and corn. I've had many great adventures, I've sailed the 7 seas, tamed many wild animals from lions down to fleas. One day when I was shipwrecked on an island out at sea, by cannibals I was captured and tied up to a tree. They beat on all their tom-toms and they got rather rough. They said I wouldn't make good beef stew 'cause I was too darn tough. I used to be a flyer, and in my aeroplane I flew across the ocean and I started back again. Got about halfway over the daggum motor vault. I left that damn thing sitting up there and I got out and walked. Oh, my flower of the wildwood is skinny and tall. Not for her Adam's apple, she'd have no shape at all. I can still see her there, sitting under the trees, tying knots in her stocking so it looked like she had knees. Yes, my flower of the wildwood was skinny and tall, but for her Adam's apple, she'd have no shape at all. I can still see her there, sitting under the trees, tying knots in her stocking so it looked like she had knees. Well, I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee, and I'm going to Louisiana, my true love for to see. It rained all night the day I left, the weather it was dry, the sun so hot I froze to death. Susannah, don't you cry. Oh, Susannah, don't you cry for me, for I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Oh, Susannah, don't you cry for me, 'cause I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Well, I had a dream the other night when everything was still. I thought I saw Susannah dear a-comin' down the hill. A buckwheat cake was in her mouth, a tear was in her eye. I says, I'm coming from the south, Susannah, don't you cry. Oh, Susannah, don't you cry for me, 'cause I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Oh, Susannah, don't you cry for me, for I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. me in New Orleans, and then I'll look all around. And when I find Susannah, dear, I'll fall upon the ground. But if I do not find her, this man will surely die. And when I'm dead and buried, Susannah, don't you cry. Oh, Susannah, don't you cry for me. But I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Oh, Susannah, don't you cry for me. For I come from Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Well, the night was dark and stormy, and the moon kept shining bright. The stars were casting burning rays on the storm that raged that night. Lightning struck the cowshed, and the cows all chewed their cud. Moonlight set the prairie on fire in the middle of the flood. Well, the barefoot boy with boots on came a-shuffling down the street. His pants were full of pockets and his boots were full of feet. Was born when he was a baby, his grandma's pride and joy. His only sister was a girl and his brother was a boy. He was never one of triplets that came of being twins. His legs were fastened to his knees just below the shins. His arms were fastened to his neck several inches from his shoulder. When he grew up, he became a man and every day got older. At last he married a woman who quickly became his wife. He could not stay a single man and lead a married life. His wife was full of notions and her mouth was full of tongue. They raised a dozen children, all born when they was young. 6 girls, 5 boys, and then another child. They never tried to tame them, they just let them grow up wild. The youngest was a baby, and the oldest was born first. The good one was the very best, and the mean one was the worst. They never knew their ages, and they did not seem to care. They knew they had a birthday coming to them every year. They never knew their father's age, but they always had a hunch that he was born before their time, was the oldest of the bunch. And when they died, they could not speak their names, they could not tell. All the girls went to heaven, and all boys, they went to hell. When I was a little boy, my mother said, if you don't watch out, then old Granny Grunt, who sat on a stump, would turn me into a white mouse. Well, I didn't believe her, but later, when I was in dreamland that night, I shake and I shivered, I quaked and I quivered when I thought of that awful sight. There on a stump sat old Granny Grunt in front of her peppermint house. She sang rub-a-dub as she blew in a jug and turned me into a white mouse.